I'm Drea.
I'm Meg.
I'm Tina.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Pardon My Stash. Welcome back to Pardon My Stash, a podcast about knitting within the fiber arts and how awesome it is. Woo. Before we dive into today's topics, let's talk about what we're working on this week. Tina.
I am working on my daughter's sweater. Pattern is the Southwood sweater. Again, if you want to do the Southwood sweater, I highly recommend going by measurement, not by the sizes given, because I'm making my 6-year-old the 2 to 4 size.
Wow.
And it fits her perfectly. So just,
and it's not like she's super tiny. Like, she's
no,
petite,
no,
but
it is.
not,
it's
like,
oversized because even when I made Katerina's, I made her the 4 to 6 when she was 5.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. I don't know. She was pretty young. And it was massive on her. She can still wear it now. She is almost 9.
Hey, that's got some mileage. That's good.
I know.
That's fair. That is
That's
fair.
real good.
I think it's just starting to fit her correctly. Where
I
it's
feel
not
like
just lopping off her shoulder.
I feel like it's good advice to make things based on measurements, not on quote unquote sizing.
Yeah,
100%.
because not everybody understands what a child size is. That's what I've turned. I figured somebody was like, "Oh yeah, a 10-year-old has a 32-inch bust." I'm like, no, they don't.
You know, maybe some.
I actually really hate it when they put like the sizes instead of because it's like not every child is going to fit in that.
Yeah,
size,
I always try to
period.
put the measurement and then like the like suggested maybe, but like I usually put a note in there that's like, no, you really should measure their head. Like,
Yeah.
for me, it's with beanies.
Oh, definitely.
But like, I was
It's like, look, my kids may have big heads. Like, so, you know.
Okay.
nothing else to say about this.
Drea.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm working on nothing.
Working on nothing.
I am working on nothing.
Which means one thing.
I have finished the Akemi shawl. And I have woven in my ends.
Wow.
That's
Even
why
better.
I kept clapping.
Yeah. I mean, I still have to block it. But
Hey, the ends
You
are
know.
woven in. I mean, that's like half the battle.
It
So
really is.
today I am resting on my laurels of completing my first project of 2023.
That's fair.
Hey,
August.
you need a day too.
I
Like
know.
when you finish a big project, you need a day. You need a day to just kind of bask in the glory and
I am basking.
enjoy it. Well, you bask.
I am.
You bask.
I'm wearing it.
I see that.
are.
It looks spectacular.
Feels good. This is the Akemi shawl by Isabel Kramer.
In jeans.
And for
Silver
the
Moon
last
Fiber
time
Arts.
on this podcast,
Faded jeans.
I should just play like a montage of all the times.
jeans.
Jeans. Jeans. It's all jeans.
Blue
There
jeans.
it is. Well, congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
a beautiful shawl.
Feels good.
It should feel good. Jess,
Okay, so hear me out.
I like how you start that way.
aside first.
The make along is coming up, and I still have a basket with no flowers because I am making a phoenix. But my basket kind of looks like a nest, so I have changed my tea cozy. So now it's gonna be a phoenix nest, and it's gonna be a nest around the teapot. And the phoenix is just going to sit on it, and it's going to be awesome.
I mean,
Very
that's
good.
custom, and that sounds amazing. I think that feeds both things that you want to do, which is finish your cozy and also work on the phoenix.
Yeah, see? I'm like, adapting.
Whatever makes you happy, dude.
It's going to be great. Just going to... So I'm working on a phoenix by Crafty Intentions, and I'm doing it in... critical hit dies Fireball, and the beak and like feet and stuff is in Plies and Hellhounds Day.
Beautiful.
Meg, what you working on?
Well, the weather hasn't been the underside of hell for the last couple of days. Listen,
You have amazing descriptors, can I tell you? Your
so-
education is put to good use.
Yeah, that's it. That is what I have. I'm very good at describing
to.
things that I don't like to endure after this is over, because we can't talk about it here. I will tell you the name that I gave to a pass on Mount
yes.
Lafayette. It earned it because it's not disgusting out. I am back to knitting Calliope
Hooray.
by a Space Tricot. I don't speak French, so that's butchered. I'm about maybe halfway through the body. I don't know. I actually haven't picked this up in a very long time because it's been so gross out.
It's been pretty nasty.
But I am knitting it out of Critical Hit dyes, Wizard and Mystic, in the colorway Etherealness. Andrea is petting it.
It feels nice.
Well, when you don't have a project in your hands, it's time to start to feel around the table.
Meg's is my favorite today.
Oh, well, that's
I'm so
fair.
flattered.
That's really fair. If JoJo's was, I'd be very concerned.
Okay, but this project is so freaking soft.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
I like these yarns. I think they're
Those
pretty
They're
yarns
good together.
combined are
They're pretty
real
sexy,
nice.
so I like them. And I haven't been able to knit it because I cannot knit mohair in the summer, as I
No,
feel like
that's
most
fair.
of us cannot.
I respect that.
So I am back to it. I am very happy being back to it. And that's where I'm at. Be sure to check out our website, pardonmystash.com, for more information, as well as pictures regarding our current projects, patterns, and yarns. So for this week's episode, we're going to kind of get real.
Getting real.
We're getting real.
I am real every day.
I mean, that is true.
I don't know when I'm not real.
That is true.
Look, life is way too short to not be yourself and not to own your opinions.
But to be fair, most of the time, we are, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Help me here. That's like, yeah. You know, it's kind of like if somebody's like, "Do you like my sweater?" You're not like, "Wow, that's hideous." You know what you do? You're like, you come up with something to say that doesn't make yourself sound like a jackass.
I have this visual of somebody be like, "It took me 2 years to finish the sweater," and Meg's like, "That's hideous."
I would never do that.
I know you wouldn't.
Even if I was
That's why it
thinking
made me
it,
laugh.
I would lie. Like it would, yeah. Or I would try to come up with something like, "That's such intricate color work," or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
honestly, if I don't
spin it,
if I don't like somebody's project, but I could tell they put a lot of
Right.
hard work into it. I usually comment on the work that they've
Right.
done,
Yeah. Right.
rather than like the actual project itself. So
you
I'm like,
find a way.
Yeah.
You find a way. We know how to operate in society. Like we don't just haul off and say things that maybe we're thinking. But tonight we're gonna give you some of our hot takes.
Oh, are we going to say
Hot takes.
Plastic.
We're gonna say what we feel.
Are we going to say
About-
the quiet part out loud?
We're going to say the quiet part out loud about opinions about the craft. And some of these things may be things that you agree with. Some of them may be things that you don't agree with. As we always like to remind you when we have episodes like these, our opinions are our own.
Yep.
They're not funded or otherwise inspired by outside means.
And they in no way should affect your own.
What's that
Yes.
PC response where they're just like the opinions of the cast do not reflect the company? Pardon my stash.
I mean, they do, though. That's
But
the
we
thing.
are the
Yeah,
only
In this
company.
case, they do.
There's no other
They do.
company. We are the only employees.
But that's the thing is that it should just be aware these are our opinions. And as Jess said, they should not in any way indicate or reflect how, we feel about individuals on a whole. Like our
Yeah.
opinions are our own.
Yeah, this is for
Your
us.
opinions may differ. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
But let's start us off with a real hot take.
Lace weight is bullshit.
We already knew
Well,
that.
we already knew that, Drea, but thank you.
It's all reliable.
I mean, to be
okay?
fair, and just throwing that right out there, I disagree. So right there, disagreeing hot
and
takes.
you could still be friends.
Yeah. We're still
Not now.
like you didn't know.
Rethinking the last 18 years of
I
friendship.
just learned something about you today, Jess.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean you
okay.
just learned? Come on.
just
Never
learned
worked
this.
No,
with
that
lace
is
weight before in
not
my
true.
life.
Brand
Come on.
new information.
We're
Front
being-
page
Oh, wow.
news.
We're being real, Drea.
I am being real.
Anyway.
I just want to point out that I'm working with lace weight right now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but
You
it's
were
like-
just petting it.
Ooh,
But
she
it's
got
not.
you.
But it's held
It's
double.
not. Yeah, I was gonna say
it's held
you're
double.
not just using the lace weight.
no, I'm
it's
not.
trick lace weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that is something that I would do, but knitting something strictly lace weight as a lace weight item is a hard pass.
I would have to be, I agree with you in that. I would have to be very, very tempted. It would have to be the perfect project, and I would really, really want the outcome to do it. I'm not saying I would never do it, but I haven't found the project yet that would tempt me into knitting straight lace weight.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, Jess, you have like no patience. The whole time we were on vacation this week, she's like, why does everybody up here drive so slow? Why is everyone driving so slow? Like, she was literally getting
into the
so
supermarket. I almost
mad.
I was like, no, I can't be here.
Everyone was walking. And I think it was just like, she's sitting there with lace weight and like these tiny little stitches and like taking forever. And I'm like, how do you have the patience for that? I don't understand.
Transportation in a Connecticut person's point of view is
you
need to go.
It really is.
But it's completely
I didn't realize
different
how
from
much
like
road rage I could have.
But the Connecticut road rage is way different from the New York you need to go.
It's true.
No,
And the New Jersey you need to go.
Definitely.
Like, it's completely
I
different.
like to call it different dialects of you need to go.
Oh, definitely.
Because they all have their special something.
Definitely. All right. Who else has a hot take? I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say it.
Hit me.
Alpaca is overrated.
I agree.
Okay, but you guys are like allergic to it, and I feel like that is
Okay, but here's the thing. I am not allergic to it, but I also agree.
It's like, yes, granted, I'm telling myself that, but at the same time, I think the reason I also feel it is that I think you can substitute for alpaca, and it's okay. I think a lot of people naysay mohair a lot.
yeah.
And I think that like I've substituted mohair for alpaca because I can actually knit with it. And I think it's just as soft. It's just as nice if you get the right kind. Like if it's not, you can get some mohairs and they're super itchy.
But you can also get alpaca that is super itchy, and I really think that it depends on how it's processed.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, to me, all alpaca is super itchy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But there's a huge difference between like alpaca and baby alpaca, for example.
Yeah.
Like huge
Oh, yeah.
difference in the
Big
way that it
difference.
is. It's spun and the feel of it.
The entire texture is different.
Totally.
The skein, the rolls, the cakes I gave you are baby alpaca.
I know.
Yeah.
I honestly I can touch baby alpaca without instantly having a reaction to it. I mean, I'll usually get one after a few minutes, but
I was immediately itching my nose.
regular alpaca, I start breaking out all over my hands. I think honestly, merino can be overrated as well.
It's true.
Yeah.
You get some people and they will knit with nothing but merino. And merino is not good for everything. It's really not. It pills like a mother.
Yeah.
Like a sweater made out of straight 100% merino, it's gonna be soft as heck, and it's gonna pill the minute you wear it.
Yep.
Yes.
Like you.
Well, I mean,
It hurts me to say it because I love it, but yeah, it's.
But I mean, I think that goes into the whole idea of people thinking that certain yarns are better than others just
Yes.
based on what they are.
Yes.
Like, news flash in from the newsroom at Part of My Stash. Is that news?
That's Mario music.
No, that's still that counts.
That was the
totally
music.
sounded like the star.
It sounded like the star music on Mario.
Well, it's like the dots and dashes.
Our newsroom is powered by Super Mario stars. Anyways,
Clear all that up. Okay, so
the news flash is: it doesn't matter what yarn you want to use or what preference you have. Guess what? It is A-okay. It is correct because you have preferences.
It's called a preference for a reason.
Yay. So like if you go off and like start yelling at someone because they're using acrylic or they're not using, they're using superwash or they're whatever. No, you can't do that.
Well, it all has a. I'll be honest with you. Like I loathe the texture of sugar and cream cotton. I hate it. Jess makes almost all of her amigurumis out of it.
Yeah.
So for me to say like I hate this yarn, it serves no purpose. Well, that's crap. Like you're not gonna. I guess you could knit amigurumis out of like lace weight mohair, but why? Like you could knit them out of. You could knit children's toys out of luxury yarn, but why? Like
Yeah.
it
You got
serves
this
a
nice
purpose.
cotton that holds up and is washable.
Yeah, it's stiff, it's washable, it actually holds the twist. Like all yarns serve a specific purpose.
Yeah, let me quickly change my child sweater into a non-super wash real quick.
Can you imagine?
No. That's why I don't do it.
I am the person who literally knit a baby blanket out of Noro yarn. Like
you did.
I did.
You sweet summer child.
I did. I was only in my second year of knitting. I really did not know what I was doing. But yeah, no yarn is morally superior. And some of them, given the circumstances, can be pretty inferior in that project.
Yeah,
that
it really
Noro yarn would
depends.
make a great sweater for an adult that's
Yeah.
going to take care of it. Not for a
But-
baby blanket that I'm so sorry, Kim.
It's gonna get both.
I'll apologize until my dying day. I'll apologize for
But
that
I
blanket.
also like super get mad at like people saying like they're arguing about like environmental or anything like that, and they're not considering that like maybe people are doing budget yarns because that's all they can afford. And like now you're just saying, well, if you're not financially well off, you're not allowed to knit. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like I hate that take. I hate that take because it's like you everyone should be allowed to experience any kind of hobby, and however they want to experience that hobby, whatever's accessible to them should be okay.
Guys, there's no yarn police. Okay?
Oh no,
No, there are. There shouldn't be.
It's not a real job,
There-
guys.
there
Nobody's
shouldn't
getting
be.
paid for that.
Tell Karen on next door.
My mother's mother had 10 children, and she cranked out Afghans, mittens, hats. Like, it was, I don't think I ever went to her house and there wasn't something on her needles. And she exclusively knit with Red Heart
Heart.
Super
You could
Saver.
tell. I could
Yes.
tell.
Oh, you totally can.
I can because my grandma used the same thing, and I
Yeah.
picked up one of yours as Afghans. I'm like, oh man, this brings me back.
But you know what? Like, you think about it, a woman with 10 children
Yeah.
who's cranking out Afghans and stuff for her kids is going, honestly, if I ever went to my grandmother and I was like, this is my luxury yarn, and she'd be like, who has time for that? I don't have time or money to knit Afghans for my kids out of your luxury hand-dyed yarn. Like, what is that? And that might sound, bizarre coming from especially Jess and I, who are we're indie dyers, but hand-dyed yarn is not superior to acrylic, which is not superior to, it's all yarn.
Yeah.
It's all preference.
It's all yarn.
It's
it's
preference,
it's
it's what you
preference
can
and it's
get,
functional. Like,
Yeah.
knit with stuff that is functional.
It doesn't make you bougie or like better if you like only do hand dyed
because
yarn.
I'm bougie.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Like, I mean, yeah, sure. Like, there's
And
some
you can, and
things-
if you like it, and you got like by all means. But I mean, it is. It's like, and you know what? You could prefer. I know your sister likes to use the acrylic to make her scarves.
my sister loves buying
That's-
acrylic yarn. I mean, she'll buy hand dyed too, but she likes the acrylic because it's easily accessible. She can find it almost anywhere. In a lot of cases, there are really like the dye lots are pretty expansive.
It's true.
So if she runs out and she
can
goes
get
to the
more.
store, she can get more. It's not like buying hand dyed yarn where if you run out, you're screwed.
Yeah.
She can easily match it, and she knits very, very fast. So she's just cranking out scarves, at top speed and enjoying herself. And that's really what you should be doing when you're knitting. Not sitting there going, man, I wish I had like X amount of money to buy this like magical unicorn rainbow hand dyed whatever the hell it is, but I can't knit because all I can afford is big box store. Come on.
Talking about unicorn dyed yarn. I have 4 balls from my favorite dyer of all time, Groovy Hughes Fibers. I don't remember exactly. I don't have the tags anymore, so I don't remember exactly the name. But I thought it was like something like unicorn puke or something like that.
That tracks.
It's hot pink with every single color you could possibly. It looks like sprinkles.
Yeah.
I caked it. And every time I make a project with it, I unravel it because it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It's just like it
And
doesn't. It's so busy that like you can't see anything. Like if you do any kind of cool stitching or you don't see any stitch work because it's so busy. So it's like at this point I'm just like, okay, this has to be like a stockinette something, and I'm like, I don't want to make that right
Or
now.
garter. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
you're
it
kind of,
doesn't-
I infinitely prefer solids and tonals to variegated yarns.
they're so much more versatile.
Well, especially for your cables, you can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, see, and I again, I love hand-dyed yarn. I love dyeing yarn, but there is such a difference between the skein and the cake and the knitted fabric. And sometimes you are not prepared for how that looks. Oh God, I forget who we were talking to, Jess. God, years ago. Oh no, maybe it was just when we were starting out and we were researching different dye techniques, and we watched some video about the different ways you can dye yarn, and the yarns that are so popular, and I think you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about, are the yarns where when they're in the skein, there's one color at the bottom and then the rest of it is all like basically it travels up.
Yeah.
And the thing is that tricks you into thinking that's going to be like a gradient yarn.
Yes.
And it's not. It actually the person who was doing the video was like, if you are not careful, this can mean, if the person is an inexperienced dyer, it can mean you're getting a big splotch of color right in the middle.
That kind of
Yeah.
yarn is
And-
usually used for what's it called?
Assigned pooling. Well, that's if there's a little bit of it, but if it travels up the skein, and you have to be very careful when you're dyeing it that way. So they can look gorgeous. They can look like art in the skein. And then you cake it up or you start knitting with it and you're like, oh, this isn't at all looking like I want it to. And especially people who are inexperienced buyers, who don't know that a gradient yarn is striped vertically.
Yeah.
Like that's how you can tell if it's a gradient when it's in the skein. It's striped vertically. And they buy that thinking, oh, look at that, I'm going to get a nice rainbow gradient or whatever. And then they start knitting it up and it is just a variegated hodgepodge, which is fine if that's what you're looking for. Going to be disappointed because that's not what it's going to look like.
Some skeins just look prettier as a skein.
100%.
Yeah.
No, see, I
100%.
like variegated for stuff like I love it for crochet without a lot, because I feel like it's better for crochet because you can actually see the patterns a bit better with variegated yarn in crochet because it's kind of bulkier movements. But I find it's really good for stuff where there's like not a lot pattern wise going on.
Right.
I like to use it because the yarn itself is what keeps me interested. You want something that is more of a tonal or a solid color for anything with like cables, lace, anything like that, because then they don't get lost into it. So it's you got to kind of like think about the project you're going to use it for.
I'm knitting Lovely Stripes right now in a variegated, and it's a mild variegated, so it's not too crazy, but I knitted the same pattern last year for Jess out of Hedgehog, and the lace part I knitted out of a solid. It was called Graphite, and the garter stitch sections I knit out of it's colorway called like Bridget, I think.
Yep.
And it's extremely variegated. Like if you do that in lace, it just looks like all over the place. Yeah. But in the garter, it looked great because then you could really like see the variations and it popped. There's nothing wrong with a variegated yarn. Variegated yarns can look beautiful. I mean, I'm looking right now and like Tina, Jess, you're both knitting with variegated right now and it looks great because you're knitting very like simple patterns. Like it's nothing.
Mine looks
that
like
is...
clown barf.
But you know what? Like because it's a stockinette, it looks great. It really lets the colors shine.
Yeah.
If you were knitting cables out of that, it would look like
you
it
wouldn't
would
be
look
able
like
to
a
see
magic eye picture where you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know where to look at this. I don't know where it's going. So yeah, it's right up there with the moral superiority. Like no dye technique is morally superior either. They all serve their purposes.
Depends on what you want to do.
Exactly.
And guess what? Not everybody wants to do the same thing.
That's
What?
crazy.
I know.
Shock, and not even
That
everybody
is a
at this
hot
table
take.
does the same
No,
thing.
I know.
Who wants to knit a phoenix, guys?
I mean, I think I might actually try that. If I
Would you?
had it, like, if we had to, like, okay, well, actually, that's a fun question. I would probably try amigurumis like that Jess does.
Yeah.
I think I would have the patience for it because it's interesting
Here's
and
the
it
thing.
keeps going. Oh,
And,
God,
and
here we go.
No.
Jess is like,
And
"Don't do it."
it's funny because I didn't realize I agreed with this before I realized it was the thing because I saw something on Instagram about it. They're like, especially if you have like ADHD or something like that, and they're like, yeah, they tell you to start crochet and do like a doily or something like that because it goes fast, but you still get bored with it. Now, if you do an amigurumi, like each like pass around is a little bit different. There's always like, most of the time you're only doing a single crochet row for like maybe, depending on it, like 7 to 10 rows. It's not that bad, but usually there's at least an increase, a decrease, or something going on there. But you're making a little creature. So every row you have more of a little creature. And I don't know, that just kind of keeps your attention
Yeah.
a little
Well,
bit
and
more.
also with like the phoenix, like you're knitting the head or you're knitting the wings or you're knitting the feet. Like it's all different
Yeah.
parts. You're not just knitting around and around and around and around and around forever. Crocheting. You're
Crocheting,
crocheting. you know, it's parts.
There's parts, and you can in some cases. I mean, I skip around on this thing all the time.
I feel like knitting or
like,
crocheting the feet
sometimes
today.
you can't if it's like, you know, you're trying to gradient it or something like that. You kind of have to use the same colors together. But a lot of times I'm like, you know what, I want the wing to be in this color, so I'm gonna like bounce and do that instead of like finishing a foot today. So that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't have that kind of brain where you need something interesting every 5 seconds, and you have more of the brain that's like, I just want to stay calm and
Consistency is
consistent.
key.
Yeah. If you're looking more for that, then you probably should stick with stockknit or something simple. It could have a little bit of construction, obviously. You can do more than stockknit, but something that's repetitive is probably more your jam.
That's usually like all my patterns. They look very complicated sometimes, but
They're not. Yeah.
they are short repeats.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just what you need. And I think that's another thing too. It's like, I hate the idea of like, you must graduate, and we've brought this up before, but you must graduate into like another, like you must keep doing more complicated patterns.
No.
To be a real knitter, quote unquote.
Yeah,
and
that's not your thing. Like.
No, like, well, and not even that. It's like, I don't know.
You don't ever have to knit a sweater if you don't want to.
If you have zero interest in ever knitting cables, or if color work just bores you to tears, or just because you don't choose to do those things, it doesn't mean you're like an incomplete knitter or crafter or whatever. Like,
At least for me, my taste changed. So like,
Yeah.
I really want to do that Orchard House shawl, but I know right now is not a good time for my brain because I'm like having a lot of symptoms. So I think right now this stockknit sweater is just right up my alley right now.
Sometimes that's what
Something
you gotta
easy
do.
for my brain. Like, I don't want to do that right now, but like maybe in a couple weeks when I'm feeling a little bit better, yeah, I might be wanting to pick up that Orchard House thing and start going to town on it. But like, you know, for now I'm just gonna stick with but honestly I'll probably finish this because I've gotten a lot of work done on it because it's been very helpful to my
Yeah,
brain.
you're
as
like
is.
plowing through that.
Yeah, this thing's flying.
sometimes a project just hits, and sometimes that's just what you that's what you need.
And
right
I've
now.
knit this before.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes that's just
No surprises.
what you need.
What you feeling.
And there's nothing wrong with, again, like, I remember Drea like years and years ago, and you were like, I'm just gonna be a scarf knitter
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do scarves and
Garter stitch scarf.
scarves
Forever.
And so, you know what? Some people do that forever, and that's you know,
But then I learned how to purl, and then I made socks, so
yep, and that's okay too.
go big.
To be continued next time on Pardon My Stash.